we're bouncing over to the bunny. Once was HBO Max and now Max. There's a lot of classics on here, guys. You can go back and like definitely do some film studies. Max has definitely been one of the streamers that I have been able to find a lot of the classics on and go back and watch a whole bunch of just amazing films, amazing filmmakers. But now I want to talk about this show that was very popular in the mid 2000s, going into the like 2011, 2012 season. And I'm talking about One Tree Hill. This is definitely it falls in line with those teenage angst movies, right? The OC or Dawson's Creek or, all of these different ones. But I chose One Tree Hill because you guys remember last year when there was that TikTok trend that was going like crazy because they had a reunion at Tree Hill at the gymnasium that they used to shoot at. And I always knew the show was about basketball because my older brother was obsessed with the show back then, but I had never given it a watch. But then I was like, oh, let me just watch the pilot. Me and Emily watched it. And I mean, we were hooked right in. Now we're like 6 seasons deep. There's 9 seasons altogether. But it's one of those that it's just so easy to watch. It does get a little soapy at times. I'm not even gonna lie, especially into these more adult seasons. But it's so entertaining. The complexities of each characters, and I honestly prefer ensemble casts more than 1 or 2 main characters because I feel like a good ensemble, it brings the story from all of these different vantage points and all these different perspectives to navigate towards one certain goal and one certain thing that brings them all together. Because some of my favorite things in One Tree Hill, or some of my favorite scenes, are when all of the friends are together going through something together. It's something very special. It's something that you can relate to. It's also something that you could be like, I just want to find a group of friends like that and just be in a town where you feel like everybody knows everybody. Of course, that has its pros and its cons.
Well, without doubt.
But
Without doubt.
next time I'm back in North Carolina and we go to Wilmington, I want to go to, because there's a river court, so to speak, that is very important to a lot of the main characters, especially the ones who played basketball, that they shot scenes there. So I want to go back to the river court and see what that's like. So yes, One Tree Hill, be sure to check that one out.
Well, you kind of touched on it. So like during that little time span, all these shows were basically the same, right?
Yeah.
They were all, they've got a group of friends. There's angst, there's drama, they're going through some shit, and kind of they were all very much along the same lines of storyline. But I had no idea, because to be fair, during that time, I was already in my 30s. I was already had a kid. I was married. I wasn't jumping onto these shows because the general idea was these were teen shows. They were about teenagers and all this kind of 30-something-year-old dad, married man's not jumping on these shows, right? I just didn't think. It's like, oh, that's cool. It's probably whatever. All the kids seem to be loving it. Okay, whatever. But... And you guys know, anybody who's a fan of this show knows that we're huge fans of Autumn Reeser. And I've seen the most obscure shit that Autumn has been in, right? Birds of Prey and Human Target and things like if you blink, you miss it kind of a thing, right? But the one thing she's most famous for, and still is even called Taylor out in public and shit, is the OC, and I had never seen it. Never seen it. So I decided when it showed up on Max to jump in, let me check this out. Let me just see what it's all about. Now, she doesn't even come in until halfway through season 3, and it's guest stars, and it's barely an episode here, barely before she blows up and becomes a huge star on it. But I had no idea how fucking intense this show was. The whole premise of it starts off, and Ben McKenzie's character is his brother is in huge. They're convicts. They steal cars and shit, and the brother is going to jail, and he's a minor. The mom's fucked up. The dad is gone. The mom is not, kind of a thing. And so the dad character, played by Peter Gallagher, he's a lawyer, and he sees that this is a good kid and wants to help him, and he doesn't want to see him end up like his brother. And he knows the mom is not good, not able, and this kid is going to stay in prison if he doesn't help him. So he brings him home to the OC, this rich community, the Orange County, and needless to say, the wife's like, what the fuck? What do we do? We have a son. What are we doing right now? Do we even know? Is this kid dangerous, kind of a thing? But it dives deep into, and he's resentful at first. He feels like he doesn't deserve it. He tries to like hightail it out of there. This kid's basically going from sometimes living on the street and or in a dump of a house with his mom, and kind of now he's in the pool house, which looks like a fucking mansion attached to a mansion. And he's like, oh shit. Right. And so it's that we start off with like this thug that is brought into this world, but he's really a good guy. And he starts to build this relationship with their son, who's very closeted and very to himself and doesn't know how to be cool, gets bullied at school and beat up at school. And now he's got a thug in a jacket that can help him. And they start to build these relationships, kind of thing. And then there's the pretty girl next door who's got her own fucked up life, who he falls attached to, and they get into this thing, and she's drugs and alcohol and spirals down out of control. Then the bad brother at some point comes back and causes all fucking kinds of trouble that, he might go back to jail. It's just, I had no idea that the storylines were so intense. They dealt with everything from drug addiction to sexual assault to men in power manipulating women to I don't know, just if you think about a serious issue in today's society, they dealt with it face on, head on. So yeah, I had no idea. It's actually, guys, a really great fucking show. Like you said, it's serialized, so it gets a little corny every now and then. But Rachel Bilson and like Adam Brody and Autumn and Peter Gallagher and just the whole cast is phenomenal. And they played their characters so brilliantly, you couldn't help but get addicted to the show. It was one of those, I know you guys are doing this with One Tree Hill. I couldn't stop. I'm just like, California! And I had to just keep diving into every episode because I'm like, what the fuck happens next? And here I am. Now I'm not the 30-year-old man. Now I'm in my 40s going, I gotta see what fucking happens next. So if you guys get a chance and you've ever strayed away from, it's a teeny bopper show, I don't want any kind of thing to do with that, don't make the mistake. Trust him with One Tree Hill. Trust me with the OC. Dive into these shows, and I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
And isn't it always so surprising that they always have such good theme songs?
Oh my God, yes. Yeah.
What the fuck? I was just listening to it on my freaking iTunes before coming on.
Dude, like, same. When I was binge watching the OC, it's all I kept singing, California. You couldn't get it out of your fucking head. But yeah. And then, of course, these shows during that time incorporated those bands into the shows. There was a venue where they started bringing those bands and playing the songs, especially the theme song. But that was the go-to. If you were an artist in the early 2000s and you wanted to get known, you went on those fucking shows because that's where it was. And so all of a sudden, the venue that plays concerts and they are coming into
literally.
But still, it was still a good way to find your favorite music and watch this cool show. And I don't know, there are guilty pleasures at this point. If you go and watch them, you will find that you actually like them. Whether that becomes a guilty pleasure or you just own that shit. Either way, I think people who watch them will like them.
It's so freaking good. Yeah, the theme song for One Tree Hill is that one song that's like, I don't want to be anything other than. I'm like, oh my God.
Yes. And now, if you're ever out and about just randomly and you hear the song, you want to go home and rewatch the fucking show. It's just, it's like that, right? I don't know.
It's so funny. But this next one I think is very special to both of us. It's very inspiring because every time I watch it, literally. Every time I watch it, I want to write, I want to, because it is executed and just done so brilliantly by the one and only Aaron Sorkin. And he is definitely I feel like the best writer. I feel like that's easy to say. He is the best writer of this generation. I just feel like everything that he puts out, it's so damn good. But I'm talking about The West Wing. Okay, not only is obviously Dustin a political junkie, but I mean, I am over the past couple years, since I started working in broadcast journalism, I have found a love for politics and learning more about politics. So this show came along at just the perfect time. And it is kind of crazy because you point this out all the time, but I see it more now that I watch it. But it is so crazy how it is very parallel to where we are now in society and the stuff they're dealing with in the show. It is the exact like fucking same.
Yeah, this show's
Um,
nearly 30 years old, and the issues that they are addressing are the same issues of today. And it's like, where the fuck are we? How are
yeah.
we still having this? How is our president of 2023 still dealing with shit they were talking about 30 fucking years ago? It's just,
Yeah.
it's terrifying. It's terrifying,
Uh,
but
but yeah, I mean, just the cast alone, they have that amazing dynamic, even when they like disagree on certain things when it comes to either how Toby or Sam are writing a speech or how um Allison Janney's character has to, talk to the press about what is going on, and she needs to be like the first to know after the president so she knows what to say to these people or how to diffuse the situation. But everything about the show is so damn brilliant, man.
or what about the fact that a president who didn't necessarily lie, but didn't actually say the truth either?
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of a thing, right? So, well, and that, see, even that storyline, although different illnesses, right? Because I'm thinking our boy Biden is leaning more towards the old timers kind of thing, but there was
Yeah.
a president that was being questioned about whether he was capable still of leading the country and making decisions. And we are
Yeah.
still dealing with that today, which is just insane. And I want to just say this. I want to say that it was groundbreaking television. And not in the set, because if you guys know, if you know anything about Aaron Sorkin, it is heavily dialogue driven. The man is like all about the dialogue. And so if you watch any show today, any show, you watch Suits, you watch Billions, you watch whatever, you have Fire Country, any drama, you're going to see a portion of the show where they are walking and talking, right? They're going through the firehouse, they're going through the building, they're kind of a thing. That didn't exist really prior to the West Wing. And there's a reason for it. The network got it. The people were looking at it, and they went to Aaron and said, there's no fucking way they can just stand there and say all this shit. People will never fucking watch this. What are we supposed to do? And they literally groundbreakingly created the need to walk through the White House, going through offices, coming back out into corridors, having to... And now, like I said, it's a staple in damn near every show you watch. But that was a creation of how do we address 6 pages of dialogue with having two people not just stand there. So the groundbreaking aspect of that show and what it brought to television and production in a whole, every week it was like you were watching a small movie. The cast was so fucking phenomenal and the dialogue was so phenomenal. And because of the production value that they had to add to the show because of the dialogue and the different, it was like a little movie every fucking week. And I mean, it was brilliant. The show stands up to this day. You can watch it and not get lost in it. It's as brilliant today as it was 30 years ago. It needs to come back. They keep teasing that it's coming back. It needs to come back. Just the ratings when they recreated the episode, one of the episodes, for Max's launch, and it was all shot in black and white, and it was all the actors, but they were like, and they literally frame by frame, scene by scene, recreated the episode on stage, which was but the ratings were massive. That should have said right there, excuse me, people want to still see it? Like, we still want to watch it? Like let's go. Let's fucking go. And by the way, it's another show that anybody who you've watched in anything was on that fucking show.
Yeah.
Like, I go back and I've binge watched this series no less than 10 fucking times. I guarantee you. And it's a long ass series. It's 7-8 years long. Right? At least 10 times. And every time I'm like, holy shit, that's such and such that I missed like the first 8 times I watched it or whatever. I'm like, who the fuck wasn't on this show? I feel like it was the 60s Batman where every celebrity wanted to be a guest star. I feel like that's how the West Wing was. Like everybody was calling their agent like, get me on this fucking show. I don't care if I'm on the fucking toilet. I want to be seen on this show kind of a thing. It's just that good. So, yeah. And if you get this one, if you catch on to this one, go back and watch Sports Night if you want to see a dramedy, a dramatic comedy. Fucking brilliant. Josh Charles and Peter Krause. Or jump on The Newsroom. I got to get you on that one because you literally just made the connection. When you started working in news, you found the West Wing and the political... Go watch The Newsroom, which is all about news covering politics. It's a fucking brilliant show. Jeff Daniels and Olivia Munn and like.
Yeah. I actually attempted to watch the pilot. I was under the influence, so I remember like not really grasping a lot what they were saying. So I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna shut this off, and then just never got back.
Yeah,
to
go
it.
back to it. Go back to it.
Sober watch.
Yeah, because it's already intense enough without being under the influence. I feel like you've got to be all in, or you will be all lost. There's no doubt about it. Because Sorkin is Sorkin, which is odd because Sorkin writes his best shit under the influence. Like, you take his mushrooms away, who is he? So the idea that you have to watch his shit straight, but he writes it fucked up is hilarious in itself. So let's just say this. Almost everything that Sorkin has done is on Max right now, so go fucking watch his shit. His movies are, they're brilliant. I'm so glad he made the transition into writing films and now directing, because this guy's just brilliant. Fuck.
Agreed.
Speaking of brilliant, dramatization. Probably true. Yeah. Probably true, though. It's dramatization because people got their panties in a wad watching it. Hey, you can't say that shit about us even though we know it's true. But Winning Time, the rise of the Los Angeles Lakers dynasty in the 80s, guys. Pat Riley, the ascension of the battle between Bird and Magic, the battle between fucking Norm Nixon and Magic, the battle basically between Magic and fucking everybody, because this was the guy that was the ego of, I'm the greatest of all time and all of you need to just get out of my fucking way, right? It's so fun. As a kid that came up during Showtime, that was my I lived Showtime, and I can tell you, it just transports me back to it. I'm like, I remember that. Holy fuck, I remember that game. I remember this kind of thing going down. It's the writing is fucking phenomenal. The casting, the people that they got to play Magic and fucking Bird and Kareem and even fucking Pat Riley. I would have never thought in a million years your boy, Adam Brody there, Adrian Brody, could pull off that. No fucking way.
He's such a chameleon, right?
Yeah.
Like, he can literally fucking do it. He's the definition of a character actor.
Yeah. But this guy nails fucking Riley. Like, it's so just, if you love basketball, you love drama, you love the 80s, you have to watch this fucking show.
Yeah.
And our boy Spencer Garrett, our friend, our the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, Spencer Garrett, plays Chick Hearn, legendary Lakers, brilliantly so. He's like the comedic relief. He plays the guy as such a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
But it's so good that you can't help but love him. You almost root for Chick to say something mean to somebody because it's like, come on, give him some shit, dig into it.
Yeah, I thought it was so funny in that last episode I watched. They're about to fire. What's his face?
Yeah, Paul Westfield, yeah.
Yeah, and Spencer Garrett's character walks out of the room. He was like, I don't give him till the end of the fucking day. Oh, hey, what's up, man?
Yeah.
Like, talking about it, and that's about to get fired. I'm like, that's so funny.
Oh, Jesus, yeah, this show is so good. Like I said, I think what this show did do, and it's funny because you hear Magic and Kareem and several of these people come out and say, hey, that didn't happen. This is all bullshit. This is not how I was. That's not what I did. And then you have other Lakers saying, yes, it is.
Yeah, that's kind of how it happened.
It's actually accurate. But you have not heard Larry Bird say anything. And I think the one episode where they do the flashbacks about Bird's life, I can honestly tell
Yeah.
you that I lived in that era and I was all in on the Bird magic thing. I had no fucking idea his dad committed suicide.
Yeah.
I didn't know the backstory of Bird or how much of a chip of a shoulder he had. Like, this was an angry fucking dude, and
Yeah.
just wanted to prove that he belonged. Like, he's like, fuck you, I'm better than all of you, and I'm gonna fucking put it up your ass every chance I get. And they really dive into that, and I'm hoping towards the end, because you start to see it towards the end in real life, that anger, that bitterness, that need to, belong, turned into respect and admiration and understanding that they needed each other to be as great as they were. And when Magic retired, Bird the Celtics were begging him, and he's like, I'm going to finish the season. I'm not coming back because he's not
Yeah.
here. I don't have the
What's the
need to be
point?
here, right? So that relationship and the way it developed from animosity and hate towards mutual respect and need, I hope that they go that full route in, because it seems like they're going to, and it's just so well done. And oh my God, speaking of O'Reilly playing Jerry Buss.
Bus. Yeah.
Holy
So
shit,
good.
so
He's
good.
probably my favorite part of the show.
Yeah.
Other than old boy playing Pat Riley, those two are my favorite characters, especially when like the whole Norm Nixon thing was going on.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Bus was like, listen, man, he unintentionally or inadvertently, he was like, this is my guy and this is who I'm going to lean on.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, and the whole thing he did with being on Magic's side and getting rid of the coach and things like that. It's an amazing series. I love seeing because there's all the entertainment industries, all the sports industries, they all get dolled up. They all get glamorized like in the media, but I love getting to the nitty-gritty real life crazy shit that happens behind closed doors, and I think this show does an amazing job at it.
Without doubt. And I just want to give a shout out. I had to look up her name because I can never remember her name. But Hadley Robinson, who, by the way, I'm looking at IMDb. I'm like, is that the same person? She plays Jeannie Buss, and she is playing Jeannie Buss brilliantly. The daughter that adored her daddy and wanted nothing more than to please her daddy, but then the animosity that started growing when daddy didn't take her seriously. Need I remind you, she fucking runs the Lakers now and owns the Lakers and put everybody in their place, right? She did not only prove to daddy, but fucking took it from daddy towards the end. So, but she's playing that so well. I'm really enjoying following her storyline, Jeannie Buss's storyline. So yeah, just shout out to her because she's also doing, like I said, the whole fucking cast is just brilliant,
Yeah, so freaking good, so freaking good. Well, HBO Max has some documentaries as well, and this one's very interesting because how many times a day do you get spam calls? Do you get telemarketer calls? I bet at least five times a day you get called by somebody random asking for money, whether that be a fake organization or anything like that. So this documentary goes into like one of the main pillars of the starting of telemarketing and the craziness that is. So basically this follows a company who poses as, they say they're a fundraising place for like retired police officers, retired firefighters, and things like that. And so they just call people all day looking to get donations. And the whole time this is happening, their office is it's a party. It's crazy. People are shooting up heroin in the bathroom, like they're having sex in the facility. Like it's like Wolf of Wall Street of real life type shit. Like it is crazy to watch. And then like going into how some things became illegal, because sometimes they would say when they're making those telemarketing calls, they would say that they're a retired police captain or they worked for the force before, but then they had to switch their wording a little bit where they said they were calling on behalf of a retired police captain or a union or things like that. So it's just very interesting to get to the nitty-gritty of all these different scams and how these things are happening. So yeah, I wanted to throw that one out there because like it's so relevant on how many people get telemarketing calls per day, whether that be like phone calls, you get text messages now, you get emails all the
All
freaking
the
time.
time.
Spam is absolutely wild. So to get to the very beginnings of telemarketing and the people who are calling you are actually some crazy ass people or drug addicts or whatever, it's wild, man. Like it's crazy. If you haven't watched that one yet, I would recommend to at least watch the first episode and be like, what the fuck
Oh
is
yeah,
this shit?
yeah. Got to dive in on that one. Got to dive in on that one. And I, if you haven't watched this one, highly recommend this one to you. Uh, Paramount's biggest mistake, in my opinion, letting this thing go, canceling it. Our girl Oprah, we love Oprah, saved it. But even now, I'm concerned it's not gonna get past the rest of this. I'm
Right.
talking about All Rise with Simone Missick. Guys, first of all, it's loaded with Marvel people. Simone Missick from Luke Cage, Wilson Bethel, Bullseye from Daredevil, like Jessica Camacho from The Flash. So Marvel and DC represented, y'all. Lindsay Gort, just a phenomenal cast. But it's basically about a judge in the LA circuit. The storylines are unreal. It's got to be one of the most well written legal shows that I've seen in a very long time, and I'm a legal show junkie, so I'm equally as politics and law, so it's my things, and it's so well done. But again, it's touching on racism, it's touching on drug addiction, it's touching on sexual abuse and domestic violence, and like all of these corrupt courts and police officers abusing power. It didn't stray away from touching on anything that was relevant happening today. They dive all in on it, and they do it in such a way that they're not trying to tell you one way or another how to think. They're just presenting it and saying, this shit is fucking going on. Here's the reality, and we're going to do it in an entertaining storyline so that you'll watch it. But it was so brilliantly done. So it was saved by OWN. They aired season 2. They aired half of the 3rd season, and then it went on a hiatus. This While you're listening to this, the back half of season 3 is now on OWN. It's going to finish up. I am thrilled to watch it. I'm all in. I was chomping at the bit. It ended on like fucking people dying, a shooter at the courthouse, and like, oh my fucking God. And here's why I'm kind of like, I want you guys to jump on it. I want you to watch it as quickly as you can, and then I want you to call fucking Oprah and say, save the goddamn show. Save the show. Because the cast was released from their contracts. They haven't announced officially. OWN has said nothing. And I know you're thinking, like, I thought we were talking about Warner Brothers. OWN, Oprah's network, for sure. She's in full control. But it is a subsidiary of Warner Brothers, in case you didn't know. So that's why it's there. But, and it All Rise is a Warner Brothers production. But, yeah, it was released, meaning they haven't canceled it. They haven't officially canceled it. They haven't officially renewed it. But it's never a good sign when they release the cast from their contract obligations. So I want everybody to just storm this fucking back half of the season and go, look, guys, we want this. It's one of the most, if on a night where it airs, if you go to Twitter, you will see it's consistently trending. It's one of the most active social media feeds while the show airs that I've ever seen. It's got a massive fan base. So I really think people should dive into this thing. If you want to know more about it, if you want to know more about the subjects that they deal with and how the real life actors who maybe have or have not experienced things in real life that they bring to the characters and how they work it into it, go back and listen to our interview with J. Alex Brinson, who plays Luke on the show. Brilliant. It's one of our deepest interviews where we just get all kinds of deep into it. He flips the narrative on us and asks us questions, and kind of. But he dives really deep into how they bring real life into the storyline and how the actors are dealing with what the characters are dealing with in real life. It's just a really good interview, and it's a really good show. So, yeah, jump on that one. I think I'm convinced you would love that one too. It's so good.
For sure, for sure. Well, finishing out HBO and Max, we're going to be talking about Harley Quinn. I
Yes.
think this one is just, it's an all around good time. It's definitely not for the children. But it is,
No.
I love it though, because the animation is great. I love the way they went back to the 2D animation, and the colors I just think they pop like crazy, especially when you're dealing with a character like Harley Quinn. But everything about the show, it's just something that it's easy to watch. It's not
Very.
something you have to be like deep dive into or overthink things about how characters are going to be portrayed or what their end game is and all of this different stuff. But I just, it's one of those that you put on for a relaxing evening and when you're just looking for a laugh, because you'll definitely get that one from this show.
Yeah, and to echo your point, it is very easy to watch. While not kid friendly, it's very adult oriented. It's very there's a lot of sex involved, a lot of like crazy, just hokey things. But why I really enjoy it is because much like we were talking about with Filoni and Favreau staying true to the kid, this is very comic book accurate. It's true to the source material. And that's why I really love it so much. They do a brilliant job of it. And to show you how much they care about that, as you guys know, or if you listen to our show, and if you don't, you should be. Arlene Sorkin, the original inspiration for Harley Quinn, the original voice of Harley Quinn, literally the character was designed after her. Literally. Passed away, as you guys know, recently. And the season finale of Harley Quinn, they did a tribute to her. So that's how invested they are in staying true to the character, the origin of the character, where it comes from, and how it's portrayed. It was a really nice, in a show that's very raunchy and over the top, it was a very well done tribute to the creation of the character and respect to her. So but yeah, if you like a raunchy good time and you're into DC, jump on this one because it's fucking fantastic, man. And if for anybody who doesn't know, it's Kaylee Cuoco who voices her, she's fucking great at Harley Quinn. So yeah, just dive in.